will Warhammer still be the most popular game in 10 years' time?
Their models are some of, if not the best on the market.
Yeah.
When you pick up a GW model, the crispness of the plastic, you can just tell the difference.
Yeah. Can you see anyone, dethroning them in the next 10 years?
No.
I would say no one that's currently making models.
The only company that can stop Games Workshop is Games Workshop.
We've got competition as good as Golden Demon, as big as Golden Demon. It's almost like your miniatures, you can't afford for your miniatures to not be detailed enough. That is a reason why they could still be the most popular game.
I think the most glaring one, which obviously is probably what we should have opened with, is... Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Sprue Goons Podcast with me, Dickie, and the gaffer, Darren. How you doing?
Yeah, good. Yeah.
You're good? So yeah, you probably noticed no guest this week, so it's just us ugly mugs for the next hour or so. So sorry about that. Talking rubbish.
Yeah, no change there.
No. So we might as well crack on. Hobby nonsense.
Hobby nonsense.
What we've been up to recently. So I think the first thing we'd probably want to touch on really is your bolt action board that we're working on.
Yeah.
/ you worked on. Now I've kind of got involved.
Yeah. No. Well, yeah, we had I've got a 4x4 bolt action board. Not necessarily bolt action, but it's kind of like a standard fantasy, sort of like a muddy fields, but it's one where it's like MDF, like construction, and then kind of folds up, so it's quite easy for transporting. And but mainly starting out for bolt action.
Yeah, I think they kind of we've called it the bolt action board because it's kind of, that was the original idea, wasn't it? We thought, right, we're going to get into bolt action. We want a really nice, cool, like French muddy field Normandy kind of thing to play on. But then we were like, well, actually, we could use this for Arkwell. We could use this for Warhammer. Legion. We could use it for anything. So, but it's kind of been coined the bolt action board.
Yeah.
So, we've done putting some grass on there. We've been working on that. We've been painting some scenery up for it. Yeah, that's quite cool. Yeah,
got the ruined farmhouse scenery from the Band of Brothers bolt action set
that you bought off a Bring and Buy show for
crazy cheap.
It's crazy, and you were on the floor laughing.
Yeah,
it was so cheap. You felt like you were mugging him off. I'll never forget that. You're all right, Darren. You're on your knees on the floor, like just laughing to yourself. How cheap?
It's because Warlord were next door, and it was like 90 quid.
Yeah, no, it was 110.
Yeah,
110
he was selling it for 50. Like, what? What's the catch?
It was like sealed and everything. It was like, fucking, do they know? Oh my God, that was funny. So that's kind of, I would say, the main thing we've been working on.
Yeah.
But more importantly for you, not for me, unfortunately, I think timing's bad, but you're off to ChillCon. As of recording this afternoon, you're driving up. So
driving up to Sheffield. Really excited. It looks like it's going to be a really good show. We've never been.
No, and I can't make it, which is annoying.
Yeah. No, that is annoying.
It is annoying.
So I'm basically kind of a guinea pig.
Yeah.
Let's see. But we've kind of been invited as creators, which is a cool thing. And so be kind of doing some videos and whatnot, meeting a lot of people there, seeing what everybody's up to.
A few other people we know are going up, aren't they? So you can say hello to them. But
a few other people. There's a live episode of Jugs.
Is there?
Yeah, at ChillCon. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you fucked up basically.
I did fuck up. Oh, when was that announced?
I don't know, ages ago.
I literally am finding out about this right now. I didn't know that. Oh.
Basically, you need to do what you can to come.
All right, cut this off. I'm pissed off now. You ruined it for me. I didn't know there was. I love Jugs as well.
Yeah,
the podcast.
Hang on, just clear that up.
Yeah, just clear that up. No, that's you can say hello to Louise, Peachy, and Rob for me. If you see, because I'm guessing there'll be. You were saying there's like a creator.
Yeah, I think they'll. I don't know if they're part of that but I don't know whether Louise has got her own stand. Obviously, at Salute, she had her own stand.
I think she has. Yeah,
so it'll probably be part of that. Or
so it sounds, from a selfish point of view, I'm kind of hoping that it's rubbish, that you don't enjoy the show, because then you'll be like, it was all right. I'll be like,
don't come next year.
Yeah, it won't go next year. No, after hearing that,
there's a bring and buy. So
I'm
in trouble.
Well, you know where I am. Message me if you see anything.
Yeah, fine.
Any night haunt for £5. Like I said before. If you see Lady Hollander for £5, pick her up. I don't think you'll see that.
No.
So, that's depressing. I didn't know there was an episode of Jugs being recorded. Can you watch it as well? Is it like you can...
Imagine it's a live one, yeah. You'll have to watch it from here.
Yeah, all right. Bastard. I didn't know that was on. That's cool, though.
Yeah.
I'd love to have seen that. Yeah, so that's depressing. Next thing, what else are we up to? Been working on, since our last episode with James from Siege, I've kind of decided, I'm going to try and do it. Try and do a competition piece. I'm not sure if I'm going to get it in for Iron Skull, but either way, it'll be nice to have a piece that I could enter into competition. Yeah. So, top secret, I'm not going to say what it is, but I'm working on something. You've got something in mind.
Yeah, I've got an idea that's kind of, has changed a couple of times.
Yes,
but I think
even last night you were saying about something else. You're like, actually, I could do this. Like, well, you need to think about choosing quickly, otherwise you're going to run out of time. Because I've started mine and I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to get it done in time, annoyingly. But still go to Iron Skull.
Yeah.
Because a massive boot fair there, isn't there, as well? So that's going to be dangerous.
And we could see all the entries.
Oh, yeah, 100%. But I'm hoping I can get it done in time, but, either way. But yeah, so that's kind of, in regards to hobby, that's kind of what I've been up to, really. Your board, the bolt action board, and my competition piece. I can't believe that, actually. I'm gutted. I didn't know there was a live episode. Saying it, though, I think now you saying, I think I do remember them saying it was going to be a live episode of ChillCon, but I think just kind of didn't stick. Now you've said it.
But yeah, I've been doing... I've got a video I'm working on for YouTube.
Yeah, top secret.
And I've done a contrast corner. Yeah, not a huge amount. Life's been a bit sort of chaotic the last kind of month. So, but yeah, kind of hobbying when we can. Trying to kind of get back into it, and
a bit of
Salute coming up.
Yes, sooner than I thought. I thought it was at the end of April, but it's not. It's nearer the beginning.
Yeah, so. It's not that long. 3 weeks away.
Yeah, so we'll be going there. Have a wander around. Looking forward to that. We went on a little hobby trip recently, didn't we? Went out to get some supplies, so we were having a mooch around. We went
board supplies.
Board supplies, yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, went out and got some bits for the board. But we live relatively local to the Hornby. What do you call it? Headquarters, I suppose.
Yeah, it's sort of like a museum, and they've got a shop on.
Well, it is their headquarters, isn't it? It's like, God, we live 10 minutes away from the Hornby headquarters. Why can't we live 10 minutes away from Warhammer World or something like that? That'd be better. But we had a look around the museum and the shop, because they do a bit of Warlord there, because obviously they've bought a part of Warlord, haven't they? They've got shares in it, so they stock Bolt Action and some other games and some of their scenery. So we were looking there. The prices for trains is crazy. I know it's our future. Eventually, we will all end up being modelled, train sets and things. But it's like something stupid, like £245 for a train.
Yeah, and it's like that.
Yeah, that was the N gauge. It was the smaller train. Like £245 then. People moan about a bloody... Well, I moan about Warhammer, Games Workshop prices. Think, bloody hell. Yeah, you didn't even have to have an army for one train.
Yeah.
God. But yeah. That's kind of...
Yeah, we haven't got, that much more kind of hobby nonsense. I'm trying to think what's kind of coming up, what we're working on.
Bolt action board and the competition piece for me. I haven't really got anything that I want to plan for. We had
a decent game of Spearhead.
Yes, we did have a game of Spearhead. Don't talk about it. Got absolutely schooled. No, it was a close game. There was 2 points in it in the end. But yeah, I was outplayed from the beginning. I think the first round you got 6-7 points ahead. I was like, wow, okay. And I was playing catch up the whole game. But I did manage to
I pulled some good cards to start with, but
really, really love Spearhead. I just think it's, for me, you get that kind of Warhammer fix without committing,
without going
2 to 3 hours,
breaking the bank balance.
Yeah, obviously, it's, I imagine the full game is better. I know it is, but I would say it's better. But for us, I think it works really well. So yeah, if you go and probably play that again a bit more, maybe play that over the weekend, depending when you get back. Bastard. Live episode of I can't believe that. I didn't know that.
That's basically the topic today, guys.
Yeah.
Dicky's just going to be constantly referring to the live episode of Jugs.
Why can't Dicky go to fucking ChillCon? Annoying. Right, should we get on with it then?
Yeah.
Oh, you've ruined it. You've ruined everything.
Right, let's get into the meat of the episode.
It's going to be an interesting one.
We've got some meat.
Oh, well.
This is full of meat.
Speak for yourself.
Hang on. So this week we are talking about will Warhammer still be the most popular game in 10 years' time?
It's a bit of a mouthful, that title, isn't it? But,
well, you know.
Yeah, I feel like you need to get it all in there.
It's a meaty title.
It's a meaty title. Get it all in. Oh, God. Anyway, how are we doing this, you think?
Yeah, so I thought we could sort of go through the reasons why we think they will be, and then maybe some reasons why they possibly might not be.
Yeah, well,
you know.
Fine, that's a good way to start, I think. So let's think about it. So will they still be the most popular one in 10 years? I think, for me, probably the first thing I think when I think of like that is like the entry point with Warhammer. Yeah. So like what I mean is, like we've said before in the past, you go into any kind of hobby shop that stocks wargaming or models, you know there's going to be a rack with your start sets,
painting.
Your Age of Sigmar, your 40k, a Kill Team box, an Underworlds box. You know, wherever you go, it's going to be quite easy to get hold of. And like I said, their entry point, they do like the little box with like one model or two models and a pot of paint. It's easy to get people into their system. So I think that is something that is good that they do, which will help them keep going.
Yeah, and I feel like it's not something that they've stopped doing.
No.
So like if you look at, you know, my kind of thing, which is, you know, past behaviour is the best predictor of future behaviour. Well, they've absolutely dominated for the last 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
So, you know, the reasons why they've dominated is the reasons why they would keep dominating. And I think they are passionate about, well, they're passionate, but they are quite consistent with like getting new people in.
Yeah,
they keep talking about like getting new people in.
Again, it kind of bleeds into the negatives, but they're passionate about getting new people in, but probably not for the right reasons. You know, empty their pockets and then move on to the next person, because they are a publicly traded business. So at the end of the day, you know,
they've got to make a profit. They're not a charity. So, but yeah, kind of getting so I think the entry point side of it, I feel like they'll always have something at that level.
Yes.
Whereas other companies, I don't think they have the luxury of, you know, they're not big enough. Like, for example, Star Wars Legion. You're never going to, well, never say never, but I don't think you'll ever get a start painting Legion. No, it just won't, because it's not.
They do a start. There's some new starter sets in the pipeline for Legion, but they give you everything you need to start. But like you said, it's not going to be
it's not like 2 stormtroopers and a couple of rebels and 3 paints. It's like that.
It's going to be £120 box set where you need to buy it gives you everything to play the game. Yeah, great, but I don't know if I like this yet.
Yeah.
Whereas like you said, with Warhammer, you can go in, buy the little box for like £20, £25. It gives you 2 models and a few paints. Oh, I like that. I'll go and buy another box. Or no, I'm all right, and I've only spent £20. Do you know what I mean? So,
to be fair, it's an interesting idea if a company came up with literally their whole point was just that, which was you buy like a starter set, you know, like Dollar Shave Club, where you get like, you know, razor and whatever. You know, they do a model, so there's like a fantasy one or a sci-fi one, and you just buy that. You get that model. You can build it. It comes with everything. Comes with like a bit of glue, snips. You know, you build it, you paint it. Oh, fine, I quite like that. Right, I might get into Legion. I might get into Warhammer.
Yeah,
it's not branded. It's that company.
Yeah.
Like they have their own model.
There was that loot box or loot crate things that you could buy at one point, which had random fantasy models in.
Yeah,
they had a bit of everything and all
that. Didn't they? Yeah,
but it's not real. I know what you mean. Like a company does it,
targeted at, you know, if you want to start miniature painting, like you said, do I actually enjoy it?
Yeah,
rather than being like, oh, okay, I want to get into miniature painting. Oh God, there's like, you know, 30 different games that I could start with, and all of them involve getting, you know, 30 paints, like 5 brushes, a light, cutting mat, a wet palette.
Yeah.
So, just something a little
We've gone on
little
a
care
tangent
package.
Again. We've gone off again.
We've got how do we help Games Workshop? How do we sync Games Workshop?
Not as easily as that, I think.
No. So yeah, that's kind of. I feel like they've done quite a bit to concentrate on having that entry point low to get people in. Yeah. And I don't think they'll stop doing that. So therefore, I think in 10 years' time, that is a reason why they could still be the most popular game.
I think the most glaring one, which obviously is probably what we should have opened with, is models.
Yeah.
Their models are, some of, if not the best on the market.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of down to personal preference. Their models are stunning, and like you can tell the difference when you put together a Games Workshop model as opposed to even someone like AMG, which is probably our closest comparison, like with Shatterpoint. Yeah. Great models, but when you pick up a GW model, the crispness of the plastic, you can just tell the difference.
Yeah.
But again, for me, and this kind of bleeds into negatives, the models are stunning, but sometimes they're too busy. They're too over-engineered. Sometimes it's quite nice when you pick up a manufacturer's model from another game and you think, I haven't got 14 different leather belts to paint and, get under this cape and,
sub-assemblies. And
it's quite nice just to put them all together. Like, again, bolt action's quite forefront of my mind at the moment. They're so much easier to paint. Like if you watch Peach's guide on YouTube, painting a start set in 12 hours, and the guide that he does is brilliant, and they look really good for the time invested.
Yeah, we watched it the other day together, didn't we? Yeah, it's really good.
And for me, that's a problem with Games Workshop, but I'm doing it again. I'm going into the negative. But no, in general, their models are stunning, and they're always going to...
I wonder whether what I think they've kind of nailed with like Space Marines is they are quite basic. Unless you want to put all the extras on.
Yes.
You do have the options to put it on.
Yeah.
So like I know the ones that we built some, or you built some for me for like Contrast Corner and things like that, and didn't put any of the like kind of bells and whistles on.
Yeah.
And they all look nice, and you're right, okay, fine, we don't need to get bogged down in the detail.
Yeah.
I wonder whether that's maybe a route for other models. Imagine like Dark Oath, but instead of having all the capes and the belts, and you can find that's your miniature.
Yeah.
You want to put a fur thing on it, or don't know what a fur thing is, but
a fur thing. Put a fur thing.
Put a fur thing on it.
Yeah,
and you're good to go.
I think that is kind of the complaint, though, isn't it? They used to do that a lot in their older kits. They leave all the options off for you to put on, whereas it feels like now, not with all their kits, but a lot of the newer kits, it's all sculpted onto the model. And it's like, wow, that's so much work. And don't get me wrong, it looks stunning when it's done, but that for me is a bit of a problem. I keep going back and forth from good and bad, but no, their models are stunning. They're always going to be top, as long as they keep their level of game, which they will. They're only getting better. Their models is another reason. They're always going to be around. You can't really compare them to anyone.
And like we said before, they are a model company.
Yeah, by their own admission, we're a model company first, a gaming company second. So,
and I think when you've got a competition as good as competition painting, when you've got competition as good as Golden Demon, as big as Golden Demon, it's almost like your miniatures. You can't afford for your miniatures to not be detailed enough.
True, that's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
Like it's kind of it's a real ball ache for me to get 10 of these painted. But if you're doing one for Golden Demon, you want that detail. You want kind of the belts and the...
But then in that respect, you think, why bother with the games then? Just make display pieces. There's certain companies like Mindwork Studios that make games, models just for painting. You think, well...
That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? I wonder why Games Workshop have never done that. As in...
Because
I suppose they do, like Bayard's Revenge. You can't use that in-game.
Can you not?
I don't know. You probably can.
Probably could,
there are...
I know what you mean. It's like a diorama piece. It's not really...
they're like the commemorative pieces. Yes. And a lot of those you can use in-game. Yeah. But I know there are some, where it's...
Well, I suppose they make the games because the people want to play their games. They do it because people invest in their games. That's why if they stop making the games, they lose a load of sales because people are, I don't want to paint models. I want to play your games.
Yeah, true. I wonder what their split is. Painters and gamers.
Don't know.
I reckon it's surprisingly high. gamers.
Yes, I was going to say, I think there's more gamers than painters.
I think it's like probably not 80-20, but I think it's heavily,
which is why
weighted to gamers.
Why they'll never stop the games.
Yeah.
So yeah, models basically. Models, good entry point for like why they'll still be popular. And to be honest, another reason again is they've got no real competition, in my opinion.
Not at the moment. No. I suppose that's a case of, will they? Yeah, that's probably the biggest one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can you see anyone, dethroning them in the next 10 years? No, I would say no one that's currently making models. No,
I think the only company that can stop Games Workshop is Games Workshop. In that, I feel like they will. Yeah, they could potentially shoot themselves in the foot with the things that negatives that we'll get onto. But no, I don't think there's anyone. There's some companies that do amazing models. Like I said, I think AMG do really good models. Malifaux, their models are lovely.
Yes,
really nice models, but they're never ever going to touch Games Workshop. So I don't think it's almost like they've got the market dominance. It's like Apple or something like that. They can charge what they want, kind of do what they want because they know no one's going to touch them.
Thing is, it's the strength of the IP as well.
Yeah.
No one's got that strength in IP.
No. Star Wars probably could have competed with it a few years ago, but now Star Wars is in a bit of tatters after Disney got hold of it.
Yeah, so and again, Star Wars isn't anyone's. As in, do you know what I mean? Like LucasArts aren't going to start making minis.
Yeah.
So, AMG might, we're making a real dent in, Games Workshop's, market share. We've had the IP taken away. Yeah, someone else is making that game now.
Yeah.
So it's quite fragile, whereas Warhammer is Games Workshop's. No one can take that away. It's not. And part of their success is the IP licensing for Space Marine, for games and for other stuff.
You're saying that, but is it the Gamma Awards, GAMA in America? They put not awards, the show, sorry, gaming thing. They listed the top 10 wargaming games which set it through sales. Legion and Shatterpoint weren't even on there. Top 10. That shows how well they're doing.
Yeah.
And so
what was like War Machine or
War Machine was on there.
Yeah.
Number 9. I can't remember. I watched a YouTube video, MS Paints, and he was going through it, and I can't remember. Halo Flashpoint from Mantic was on there. Obviously, 40k was number 1. Obviously.
Yeah.
I think Age of Sigmar was number 3, 4. They're up there. Obviously, they're up there, but
I feel like 40k. When you see those graphs where you see popularity over the years and it sort of time lapses and changes. I feel like 40k will be like so far ahead. It's in number 1.
Yeah.
But it's probably, if you were on a voting system, it's probably got more votes than the other 9.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And again, hence the reason they're still going to be around in 10 years. That's why, I think that's mainly for me.
Will they be around? Will they still be here in the 41st millennium?
Will we still be here in the 41st? Probably not. Probably the rate would.
Yeah, this isn't futuristic anymore. We want something else.
I don't think the human race will be around in the 41st millennium, to be fair.
Yeah, we'll be on Mars.
Fine. Well, we won't. We'll be long dead. I suppose another positive reason they will be around, and it kind of links into the whole gaming thing, is the community.
Yeah.
There's a massive, massive, massive community for Warhammer.
For Warhammer, yeah.
I was walking the other day to pick my son from school, and the back of someone's car is a sticker for the Emperor. And you just think, it's got, okay, they're not mainstream, but they're not far off.
No, they're not far off now.
No, they're definitely not far off.
Well, you get the Amazon series out.
Yes.
That will kind of, it'll start seeping in.
They bleed into, like they are bleeding into mainstream. That's what I mean. You just walk, you've never walked past somewhere and seen an Arkwell sticker on the back of a car or a Malifaux sticker.
But what's interesting is they got into the FTSE 100, which is mental. Like the 100 best companies in the UK, like UK exports. And I was getting my hair cut this morning and saying about, going to a show tomorrow. Yeah, have you heard of Warhammer? No. And they're in the FTSE 100 and you've never heard of it. That's mental to me.
That's great.
Yeah, have you heard of BP? Well, yeah, fine.
That's That's crazy because normally every time I say to someone, they're like, "Oh, you meet someone.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what do you like to do?
Yeah.
Oh, I like to paint, models." And they're like, "Oh, right, what, like Warhammer?
Yeah.
Oh, have you heard of Warhammer? Yeah, my brother used to do that, or my son.
My kid does that.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, but I know what you mean. Like, so for someone to go, no, it's like what? That strikes me as a bit of a weird.
But then there's tons that I haven't.
Yeah, there'll be something someone says to you, and you'll be like, "What's that?"
Yeah, someone will say to me like, "Oh, have you seen this woman? This kind of influencer or whatever." I'd be like, "I've never heard of her. She's got like 7 million followers."
Yeah,
literally never heard of her.
Yeah.
It's kind of that kind of thing. I'm slightly different, but
no, I know what you mean.
Warhammer. It's weird because Warhammer's been around for so long. So for someone not to have heard of it is...
And like you said, like I said, most people kind of, they're the brother's friend, sister who played it. Or, you know what I mean? Everyone, I know someone who did that when I was younger or whatever. So,
yeah.
But I do think their community, as long as the people love the IP of 40K, all the time that's there, they're never going to go anywhere, are they?
No.
I don't think so.
The YouTube... Everything on YouTube is just, blown up over the last probably 5-10 years. More creators, more videos, people doing, really interesting stuff, and mostly with Warhammer.
Mm.
It's not.
But that's annoying because obviously not people know, but as a content creator, you have to put Warhammer in the title, or you have to, because if you don't, you won't get the views, you won't get the interest.
It's sort of like self-fulfilling because then they're kind of, they're promoting it. But it's interesting. I think it will take a couple of like big creators to maybe come away from Warhammer to really even think about making a dent in that in their kind of market share.
It's not gonna the end of the day, I just don't think that will they be the most popular in 10 years? Probably, I think so, but who knows? I definitely feel like sometimes like I said, they're their own worst enemy. And I do feel like that might be a nice segue into the kind of negatives. And I think the first thing I'm going to say, obviously you probably know what's coming, everyone probably knows what's coming, but what was the saying you said just then? Past examples are a good indicator of future.
Yeah. I've forgotten it now. No, past behaviour is a good predictor of future behaviour.
And with that in mind, prices.
Yeah. They will keep going up.
They will just keep going up and they'll keep pushing it. And this is something that I feel like there's got to be a ceiling, if you know what I mean. That at some point, the community, no matter how much they love the game, the models, everything, they are going to turn around and say, that's enough.
Yeah.
That's too much, you know what I mean? And obviously they're a publicly traded company. They've got to make profit. And they're always making profit. But I always feel like that is something that could not kill them off at all, but could dethrone them in being the most popular.
It's not going to help their dominance.
No, not at all.
But I do think the ceiling is completely relative to inflation.
Yeah.
So you might say, well, you can't charge 50 quid for a box of Marines, but you probably could in 10 years' time. You just can't charge it yet.
They will charge it.
Well, they will, because otherwise they're going to go out of business.
Yeah.
Because obviously all of their costs go up, so you can't keep the models the same. But I think it's the fact that they go up. It's whether they go up in line with inflation.
No, that was my point. They never go up.
And whether the ceiling is actually, they go over the line, which is... and I think it's called stagflation. But what happens is where money, so like now we're in a sort of situation where we might get that, where money, inflation goes up so much that all goods go up, but no wages are going up.
Yeah.
So the economy starts dying because nobody's spending any money, but everything's really expensive. So you get this kind of like, just this stasis where the economy doesn't really know what to do, because it can't drop prices because all the costs have gone up, but people still can't afford it.
Yeah.
So that's what might,
like you said,
that's what might happen
there now.
That's what might happen with Games Workshop. If they go too far,
do I eat for the week, or do I buy a £50 box of Marines?
That's the thing though. But people
do.
People will like stop eating. That's the. I mean, obviously, it's like a massive sort of meme, in the community. But it's an expensive hobby, but it's by no means the most expensive hobby.
£245 for a little train. You know what I mean? Wow.
Yeah.
And
or like say, golf or anything like that, which is what I call like a consumable hobby, where it's like you're not even actually buying, you're buying time. If you said to me, fine, Warhammer, it's £35 for a box of Marines, that's fine, that's the models. And then if you want to paint them, that's going to be £10 an hour. I thought, oh fucking hell, that's expensive.
Yeah.
That's golf.
Yeah.
So, it's not that cheap. It's not that expensive for a hobby. It's just more expensive than it used to be. And
also,
else.
I think in that respect, Warhammer or Games Workshop are more expensive compared to everything else around them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Obviously, other people push their prices up accordingly.
They are catching up.
Yes, yeah. Like I said, some of it's our closest comparison, but like Legion and we looked at some of the prices of the newer kits for Shatterpoint and we were like, wow, okay.
The scenery for Shatterpoint seems to be
stupid.
Mental.
Yeah.
Do you want to buy like a rock, a Genosian rock? It's like 98 quid.
No, I don't. But I do feel like that is something that, again, I don't think they'll ever go anywhere, but I do feel like that is something that would it's got to surely at some point reach some kind of ceiling, I would have thought. But
yeah, but that's what I mean, is the ceiling will constantly raise. So it's only when they go above
the ceiling, I suppose.
Yeah, above like what the ceiling is for the time.
But then they always are well above inflation.
Yeah.
So I think as well, another negative could be why they might not be as popular in 10 years would be, I don't know, because I say that, but then they've got massive tournaments going on and everything. But their game systems, for me, are meh at best. Age of Sigmar is a good game system, to be fair.
Yeah.
But 40k, their flagship, biggest game, most popular game in the world, just feels like it's carried by the models and the IP. It's almost
I feel like it's got, I know we've said it before, but I wouldn't even know where to start, redesigning that game.
No.
Because it's almost like you're going to get flack. If you simplify it, you'll get massive flack because, like you say, there's worldwide tournaments. You've made the game really simple. Now we can't, there's not enough like nuances of ways you can build your army or ways you can kind of, use the meta and stuff like that. So, whereas what we'd want is a simplified version of 40k.
Yeah.
But I think that would be hated by the community, by the main community, because it's like, now it's just like,
don't get me wrong, that's
boring.
Kind of, it is rocking a hard place for GW, but they always do every time. After every 3 years, they cycle out their game. They do this time it's going to be even better. This is the best version we've ever made. And then a year down the line, everyone's like, it's shit.
Yeah.
Like now with 40k, everyone's like, it's not very good.
No.
I do feel like that eventually someone's going to come along with the game. Well, say that. There's games out there that are better than Games Workshop now. So it kind of makes it a moot point, really. Because I'm like, they'll just be a better game. And because there's the games out there that are so much better than 40k. But they haven't got the IP or the models.
No.
So that's all the time they've got that strong IP and they've got the models coming out they have.
And kind of it goes in their favour that they are constantly revamping it. It almost doesn't give you a chance to sort of say it's shit, because it's like, we've got a new one now.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a bit better. Oh no, now that's shit. And but we got a new one. It's kind of like
nothing stops you playing the old ones you like anyway, really.
No.
4th edition or 5th edition, some people do.
Only the kind of the FOMO of, I should be playing the new one.
Yeah.
But do you think there'll be a new edition next year then?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when did
it was Fest, wasn't it?
Yeah, when we went to it, we saw it. When was that?
23.
Yeah, it'll be next year. Every 3 years, without fail, they do a new edition. So yeah, it'll be next year. 100%.
Be interesting. Is it going to be Ultramarines and?
Oh yeah, it'll be Marines and something.
Orcs.
They've done that before. They've done most combinations. You saying mental? Like, I can't think of anything mental.
Zinch.
Leagues of Votan and.
Hang on.
I'm trying to think of another weird one that's not that popular. I can't think of any.
what? Yeah, 40k. Necrons have been in a starter set before.
Yeah.
Drukhari aren't that popular.
Yeah, but they're brilliant. I love Drukhari. But yeah, sorry, we've got to get going off about starter sets. Any other negatives you think that they could possibly hinder them not being the most popular? I think, like I said, it feels like the only way they would lose the market share is if they muck it up for themselves.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. And pricing is a strange one because I think there'll be a ceiling, but strangely enough I don't think they're close to it at the moment.
That's a controversial
take. It's so weird, but I don't know. If Apple put all their phones up by 300 quid, would everyone stop buying them? No.
People
so that's
but
scary.
Yeah.
But that's where I feel we are with Games Workshop. If Space Marines, instead of £35 a box, it's £45 a box.
I think they are now, aren't they? £45.
Yeah, well, £55
I know
a
what
box.
you mean. Yeah, I'm just being an arsehole.
And what would happen? Well,
people would grumble about it for a few weeks, and then they go and buy them.
Yeah, they grumble about it for a few weeks. They go and buy them. Sales might drop off, but they won't drop off by the same amount that they've gone up.
No, but
as in, the prices have gone up.
The money they've made in
20%. Yeah. Well, and they've probably sold, 5% less boxes. So they've still made an absolute ton of profit.
Oh, they're always making a ton of profit every year. Every year they make a massive profit because of that reason. So yeah, I think. But
I don't know. If they were 80 quid a box, obviously, you'd be like,
yeah, but you'd still get people.
You would get people buy them, but I do think 80. There obviously has to be a ceiling.
Oh yeah, there is, but I don't think
£10 for a little each.
Wow, you say that, I wouldn't hold your breath.
I mean, there's no shortage of plastic in the world.
No.
It'd be interesting whether I don't think they'd ever do it, but if there was like a brand that used recycled plastic, what you got to remember is like that it is all virgin plastic.
Is CO cast? Is that recycled plastic?
I don't know.
That's a new type of 3D printing that's CO cast, but I'm not sure. I don't know. I've got it in my head that's recycled. Someone's going to say I'm talking out of my arse, but
the thing is with the recycled is because I know from like sort of manufacturing point of view, it's like anything. If you reuse it, it's not as strong as it first was. So it's strong. Don't get me wrong, but there's problems that come in when you start using recycled plastic. Especially mixed recycled plastics. But
oh really?
For example, if they said, "Oh, fine, we'll, send your sprues back and you get 10% off your next box," and all the sprues go into, we melt them all down and make new models.
Yeah.
Fine.
They never would do that.
They'd never do that.
They did do a sprue thing where you could take sprues to their shop and they'd recycle them, but you wouldn't get 10% off your shop.
No.
It's silly. God.
Yeah, why is it costing 10% more?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, we've got to recycle your plastic. You've got to pay us. Oh, yes, that's fair. I'll give you 10% extra on my bill.
It's £10 a month, but they recycle all my sprues for me.
Yeah, oh, God. They're doing me such a favour. Anyway, we've gone off a tangent again.
Yeah.
But
what, any other reasons why?
Yeah,
why would they wouldn't be around?
You need some big hitter to come out, some game that's
massively.
Trench Crusade was coined as the 40k killer, wasn't it? But
it's possible. I always kind of go back to the tonic brand Fever Tree. Schweppes absolutely owned the tonic market for I don't know, forever, ever since in the sort of 1900s for the whole decade, whole century. And then Fever Tree came out. You think, Schweppes, tonic is just Schweppes. It's like sellotape, or it's like a name where you're like, and then Fever Tree came out and just absolutely took the market. We got something different.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's always, I kind of think of other brands where you get vinegar.
Yeah.
And it's like Sarson's.
Yeah.
That's the brand.
Yeah.
There's no other brand of vinegar. I mean, there obviously are brands, but that is the brand of vinegar.
Yeah.
Like, come on, that's dying for someone to come in and be like, vinegar's changed.
Well, it's like Hoover. Didn't they lose the name Didn't they lose a thing because everyone called their Hoovers, it's just a Hoover. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, no, that's our brand. No. I've
got a Dyson Hoover.
Yeah. And everyone was like, no, Hoover's our brand.
Yeah.
The vacuum cleaner. No, Hoover's just called a Hoover, isn't it?
But the weird thing is, it's not even branding for them. It's like sellotape. That's not branding for sellotape.
No.
I don't think I'll go out and buy sellotape. Well, if it's in Poundland, I don't care whether it's got sellotape on or not. That's sellotape to me.
Sellotape, yeah. Get some sellotape.
Which is brutal from a brand point of view.
Yeah. We've gone off on brands now.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, thanks
for give them something different.
Yeah, you don't give a shit about Warhammer. We're just talking about branding. So we wrap it up, I suppose. So in conclusion, what do you think? Will they still be the most popular game in 10 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they will be. I think unless, like we've just said there, some massive heavy hitter comes out, Trench Crusade comes out retail and absolutely dominates them. But then I don't think it would even be a bad thing. No. I think it would make them adapt.
I just don't think...
But I don't think it's got enough. I don't think it's... Which is a shame, because competition is healthy. It would be good to have something making them work harder.
I think it needs to be something completely different. Don't know. You've got to come up with something, radically different. But I suppose it's almost like the community has been created from Warhammer.
Yeah.
So actually, those people wouldn't be into something else because you've made them their own thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, do you know what I mean? If I came out with it's like Warhammer, but it's like a Warhammer meets Animal Crossing. Well, that doesn't appeal to...
Appeals to me. That sounds brilliant. We'll make a little village and then fucking go around killing everyone. Wait, what?
Hang on.
That was a good comparison.
Get in touch with us.
So no, I think in conclusion, I'm doing it now. Yeah. I don't think they will be dethroned in 10 years.
No. Do you think they'll be bigger than they are now in 10 years?
If the Amazon deal comes off well and it gets received and it's a good show, I think
Space Marine 3
coming out. I think they could be bigger. It depends if they get mainstream. Then that could shoot them in the foot. It's hard to tell. Obviously, 10 years is probably we probably shot a bit too far there. We should have said like 5 years or something.
Yeah, but I think 5 years is too easy to say.
Yeah, 5 isn't enough. 10 is too much in a way. 8.5 years.
Hang on. 8.29 years.
We're fine.
What do you think they would need to do to get to reach a different market? As in, they've absolutely got their current market. Everyone that paints Warhammer looks the same, but in terms of a demographic,
hello.
They're very similar people. What would they need to do to get people that would never dream of painting Warhammer into it?
Well, I think again the Amazon show. I think things like that get in on Amazon Prime. Oh my god, what's this? Watch that. This is cool. It's based on a miniatures game. Oh my god, that's cool. Maybe even they would never do it, but maybe even something like pre-painted minis.
Yeah,
something where it's done. You can just pick that out of the box. You can play a game. They wouldn't do that because
I don't know though.
Do you think they might?
I think they might do. It wouldn't be the same. You couldn't get the same miniatures, but pre-painted.
No.
They would do a game system,
a box
and it comes pre-painted.
Yeah, a box game.
Only because I think I'd love to look at the stats, but I think most of their sales come from gamers. So therefore, the Citadel paints, they make a decent amount of money, but I think that's probably quite a hard business to run, a paint business. So, I don't know. If it would get more people into their games and they go back and buy more, do you know what I mean? I don't know. And I think it would outweigh the money that they would get by people going there and buying paints and then spending the time painting them. And if they could just go, but imagine if you've got 1,500 point army and you have a game and you're like, oh my God, that was absolutely brilliant. Right, now I'm going to go and buy a set of, whatevers, and I'm going to put them together and I'm going to paint them, and in about 2 months' time I'm going to have another unit. Imagine if, oh my God, that was absolutely brilliant, let's have another game, let me just go and get another unit. Done.
Take it out of the box.
Yeah, I've got another unit, I'm going to go and get a Bowl Titan, bang, there you go.
I'd like to play if it was like that.
Yeah. But the thing is that we probably would.
Yeah.
Not that painting's holding us back, but it's just a completely different concept.
More grey shame, isn't it? Whereas if you just can buy it and play it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think they would, but I think...
And I don't know how they would do it. Whether it would be, if the technology improved and it was maybe like a Gundam, so it came on the sprue, coloured, that might.
Yeah.
So you're snapping it together. Would look amazing, obviously. Well, like Gundam. There's no...
no.
As in... There's no variation in colour on the panel. You can paint them. So I don't know. I guess they'd be like toys, wouldn't they? But
Well,
or Lego.
They do toys now.
Yeah.
So that's another reason they do cuddly toys. They do joy toys, the action figures you can buy.
I think it's interesting. I don't think it would be the same thing.
No.
But it would be like, a different thing.
No, I definitely think that's how they'll get more mainstream. Getting on an Amazon show, making more accessibility, like things for normal people, like air quotes if you're not watching. I think that's probably the best way for them to go about it. I think try and get on the Amazon shows, make games that people can pick up and play.
Yeah.
Rather than having to build, paint. I personally wouldn't want them to do that because that's the hobby. The hobby is painting.
That's the hobby for us. But although if I could buy a spearhead painted just to play it, I'd be like, right, that's the one I'm painting. I'm painting Seraphon. That's my passion project. But I'm going to buy the pre-painted Lumineth because I want to play them.
Yeah.
And they'll look better painted. And I can just
And you'd probably find a lot of tournament players that are hardcore gamers would be like, I'll buy the pre-painted one. And just use that in tournament.
Yeah.
I'm not...
Or buy the pre-painted one and I'll touch it up.
Yeah.
Like a Gundam.
Yeah.
Like people painting Gundam.
So they get hold of us, Games Workshop. We've got the plans for it.
Yeah, we know what we're doing.
Yeah. Oh, they've gone bankrupt.
Yeah, fine, hang on. I made a profit for the first year in like 30 years. Yeah. So
there you go. As usual, the topic...
Yeah, absolutely smashed it.
Yeah. What? No. not discussed properly or come to a solid... Well, yeah, we have. They would still be here in 10 years, but we all kind of knew they probably would be. But there we go.
Okay, guys. We are going to round the episode out with one of my favourite bits, Dickie's favourite bit.
Yeah, I love this bit. Go on then.
We're going to do a sprue or false. Oh,
shut up. God's sake. Stupid bloody thing.
So this is, a bit different this week. But I thought we'd cover something we've sort of slightly covered before. But I feel like my opinion might have changed a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Over the years.
Over the years of doing these podcasts.
Yeah.
Coming bright-eyed, full of wonder. Yeah, this is the right thing. And now you've realised, ground you down.
Yeah, you could never do this.
Yeah,
and then you're like, no.
Just do
life's
that.
got in the way.
Yeah.
You shouldn't play with unpainted minis.
Oh, I remember this one. Okay.
Sprue or false?
So, you shouldn't play with them. I feel like we probably would have said sprue back in the day, but I think my opinion might have changed with Spearhead and other games we've been playing recently, and life, like you said, getting in the way. Zombicide's probably false. Like I can't remember. We have to go back and see our old episode, but in hindsight, don't get me wrong. Ideally,
yeah. Why wouldn't you want to? Ideally, but
just saying, my Silver Net first Spearhead's fully painted. just saying.
Yeah,
my Ogre one isn't. We don't talk about that, but I think false. I think if it's a game you want to play, as in like Spearhead, we love the game itself.
Yeah.
Zombicide, we love the game itself. I don't think you should not play it just because it's not painted.
No. You shouldn't kind of put that pressure on you, be like, oh, no, I don't want to play it unpainted, therefore I've got to wait.
Yeah. Which I have done in the past.
Yeah.
I've had friends, come and play a game Warhammer. No, I've got a unit to finish. Yeah, but no, I wait till that unit and then I don't play it because the time passes. It's all painted now. Yeah, we don't play that. Oh. No, I think because like you've had lots of games with your Seraphon.
Yeah.
Seraphon. Unpainted, and you've had, you've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Great. And it like we have said, it does make you think, I want to paint these.
Yes. Yeah.
So I know you are itching to get them painted, but obviously, like you said, real life, other things coming up, it's like, I can't really, but you want to.
Yes.
Whereas like, it sounds bad, but with the ogres, I played the ogres in Spearhead, and I was like, yeah, they're all right, but they're not really my thing.
Yeah.
I'm a bit like, I'm no rush to paint them. I can leave them grey and play them as and when if I want to.
But you would want to paint them. I think I think from my point of view as a kind of, when I sort of think of it as a painter, it's odd to me that someone would play with unpainted minis and not want to paint them.
Yes.
But that, again, that's from a painter's point of view.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're going to be biased. But but yeah, kind of that like, oh yeah, no, I won't paint those. Like they're grey. It's like no, at least have the ambition to want to paint them.
Yeah. Whereas you say that, like again, John doesn't, does he? My brher, he's like, no interest in painting them.
Pisses me off.
Yeah, you piss him off, John. I know you listen, and he pisses you. No, you piss him off, and you piss him off. Yeah, everyone's pissed off.
No, but obviously we joke with him about it.
Yeah,
but you know, it is slightly immersion breaking, especially on Legion. You've got the whole board done. You know, like all the terrain, all the scenery. You know, and our armies are painted, and then you're going against sort of white clones. It's not as bad with clones because obviously
you're listening.
They're not that different to when you have painted them.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean, because you sprayed them white, so
you're halfway there.
At least they're white. You just base them, and you're done.
Fine. Oh dear. But yeah, no, false. I think I'd imagine we probably said sprue back in the day.
I think probably a sprue with a caveat.
Yeah, now it's false with a caveat.
Yeah.
So there we go.
There's always a caveat.
Always a caveat. You can never answer properly.
Yeah, fine. Right, that's it for this episode.
Another one down.
Yeah, hope you've enjoyed the show.
Or not. Like I said, guestless. So just us idiots.
Guestless.
Guestless. We're guestless. So just us idiots talking for how long it's been.
So keep up to date with everything. Anyone that I meet at ChillCon, it was nice to meet you. This will go out week after ChillCon.
So avoid him.
Massively. Now. Yeah, I've told him to tackle me to the ground. So.
Yeah, fine. I hope they do. That'd be so fun if you come back with like a black eye. What happened? I got tackled to the ground.
Yeah, I've broken my hip.
Yeah, fine. 4 ribs. Yeah, that's what you get for watching Jugs, you bastard. I can't believe I didn't know about that.
Fine.
Oh, so nice.
I'll make sure I
send you a picture watching it. Fuck off.
Get my little
your gimbal out.
There you go.
That's not a gimbal.
It's me.
Put that away,
It's me and Jugs. And then I watch the podcast.
Oh dear.
Right. See you guys.
See ya.
Yep.